All right, what's going on, family? What's happening? Listen, I am so excited to be before every single one of you guys this beautiful Saturday morning, evening, right, wherever you are in the world. Matter of fact, drop in the chat where you're listening in from. Let's see where we are all over the map. Put in the chat where you are listening in from. All right. And while you guys do that, my name is Mr. Kingdom Cash Charles Dyson. I am one of the vision carriers for the e-estate platform, this wonderful platform you're about to hear about today. I am a senior agent with the platform, and I am so excited to be before each and every one of you guys to give you this amazing information about how you can actually get involved in one of the most revolutionary platforms in the world, right? And I can see we're all over the map. Where we at? We are in Ohio. Hold on. I don't want to miss nobody. We're in Tampa, Florida, Oregon, right? We are in Ohio, the ATL, North Carolina. That's where I'm at right now. Pearland, Texas, New Jersey, Georgia, South Carolina, Port St. Lucie. I see you. North Carolina, right? North Carolina, Belgium, all the way across the pond. What's up, Belgium? What's going on? We are in the United Kingdom. Good evening in the United Kingdom. I love it. I love it. So you see, we are an international community. We are all over the world. Doesn't matter where you are. We're going to talk about borderless real estate today. All right. And if you can't tell, I am so excited to give you this information. I absolutely love talking about this. You saw the sevens in the chat, right? Of everybody who got paid this week, 100% automated, right? Didn't have to do anything. The money just kept coming in. We're going to get into all of that, ladies and gentlemen. But before I do, I think it's very important that you know a little bit about the speaker, right? But before I even get into me, let me do this, right? Ladies and gentlemen, relax. Relax, okay? I'm not here to sell you anything today. I want to let you know right now, I am not here to sell you a single thing today, okay? But what I am here to do is give you some powerful information that if you accept it, has the ability to change some things about your life financially, right? So I am not high pressure sales. That's not what I do. I want to let you know right from the very beginning. Okay. Over the course of the next few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some information with you, but I like sharing information in a unique manner, right? I love giving data with the information so you know without a shadow of a doubt that what you're hearing is real and has the ability to change some things in your life financially, right? So by the end, if you stay all the way to the end, you have enough information to make a sound decision of whether this is for you or whether this isn't for you. Okay. I'm just the vessel that's going to give the information. That's all I'm going to do today. All right. So, a little bit about me. I'm 40 years old. I have 10 children. Yes, you heard me right. 10 kids. I have not worked a traditional job since April of 2013. Right. My beginning was very, very humble. I don't come from a silver spoon or a gold spoon, right? I followed the program, right? I went to school, got great grades, got accepted to 13 colleges, chose one, the one that gave me the most financial aid. Went to school, right? Followed that whole system, got out of school, got a job, and held on for dear life. But there was a problem. I was taught that hard work pays off, and I found out that's a lie. Hard work does not always pay off. I was working very hard from the age of 19 to the age of 26. I worked 2 to 3 jobs, 70 to 80 hours a week. Sometimes I worked 7 days a week for 6 months straight, did that twice. And by the age of 26, I was exhausted, right? At the age of 26, I had a late wife, I had 7 children, and nothing to show for it. And I had to figure something out very, very quickly. And I had enough sense to know, hey, Charles, you don't know what you're doing financially. You need a mentor. So that's what I did. I got a mentor. That mentor was elevated financially, gave me some instructions. I followed them. And from November 2012 to April 2013, 6 short months, I made more money than I've ever made my entire life at that point. Walked away from those jobs and followed the same formula. Kept a mentor in my life, kept following instructions, and my life began to elevate financially. But here's the principle, right? I found out that you cannot outwork a dollar. You can't, right? You're going to get tired. You're going to need breaks, but money doesn't get tired. Money doesn't need breaks, right? So I figured out that I need to take a portion of the money that I'm earning and I need to put it to work for me. It's called compound interest. And the more I did it, the more addicted I got to it. And so now I look for ways to put my money on assignment, right? To give it an assignment to bring back more money. And that's why you're here today. I'm going to show you how you can do that in one of the most spectacular ways that I've ever seen. All right. And this is not hype. Like I said, I'm going to give you the information, but I'm going to back it up with data. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to jump right into the information. I'm not going to waste any time. Let me see if I can share my screen. And I'm going to educate you, right, about how this platform works. All right, so let's take this ride. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to actually talk to you about a platform called eEstate, right? This is the new era of real estate, okay? Now, first things first, real estate is not on trial today, ladies and gentlemen. Real estate is an industry that has been proven for the better part of 6 to 7,000 years in human history. Real estate, most recently, has been known to be the industry that creates millionaires. We all know that. No matter where you are listening to this from anywhere in the world, you know that, right? So real estate is not on trial. But here's what's going on in the world today. This is not a United States problem. This is a global issue, right? The United States government is printing $1 billion every 8 hours, okay? It's printing $1 trillion every 90 days, and every government in the world is doing the same thing. Now, that's a problem. Why? Because that causes inflation, right? It causes the value of our money to go down, to depreciate. But in inflationary times, assets raise in value. Assets go higher in value, and wealthy people get wealthier, right? Because they own assets. Now, here's the thing. It's interesting how everybody knows what wealthy people do. They purchase assets, right? They own assets, but guess what? Not everybody wants to follow the same direction. Right now, if you want to elevate your life financially, guess what you got to do? You got to get a hold of some assets so you can benefit, right? So you can benefit as assets raise in value. But guess what? Those who aren't wealthy, we foot the bill. We foot the bill, right? We feel it at the gas tank. We feel it in rent or interest rates when you own your house, right? It's called a hidden tax. We feel it everywhere, okay? And that's what creates the wealth gap. But specifically, that's what created the wealth gap in real estate because assets continue to get higher in value. But if you want to get involved in real estate and you don't have the capital, then guess what? You can't participate. It requires high capital in today's world to get involved in real estate, which creates a lack of access, right? The barriers that prevent many people from entering the market. And that also contributes to slow processes. If you are fortunate enough to be in real estate, you know it takes about 30, 60, sometimes even 90 days to close a deal, which means you miss out on opportunities that are in the market because your money is tied up, right? So this is why we're going to have this conversation about tokenization. This is why tokenization matters. Because tokenization opens access to real estate investments, enhancing liquidity. Now let's stop right there. What does this word liquidity mean? Liquidity just speaks to the speed in which money can move through different industries around the world, like real estate. Okay? So tokenization opens access to real estate investments, enhancing the speed in which money can move around the world in industries like real estate and creating opportunities in a $16 trillion market. Now, I'm not going to gloss over that. 16 trillion, right? That's a very big number, right? So here's the thing that I need you to realize about this number. I'm not saying that tokenization today, currently, is a $16 trillion market. Now you got to pay attention. Here's the magnitude of the opportunity. It is March of 2026. Experts are saying by 2030, tokenization will be a $16 trillion market. So what does that mean? That means we have 9 months of 2026 and 3 more years until 2030. So a $16 trillion market is about to be created. Now, here's the truth. Most people miss it. Most people miss it. Why? Because of fear. We fear what we don't understand. Let me give you a perfect example of what every single person on this webinar, how you let fear prevent you from opportunity, including me. I'm not just talking about you. 2009, 2010, 2011, what hit the scene? Bitcoin. And at some point, you found out about Bitcoin. If it was 2009, Bitcoin was only a few cents. If it was 2010, Bitcoin was only a few dollars. If it was 2011, Bitcoin was only a few $100s. And if you found out later, it still was an amazing opportunity, even when it was $4,000, $5,000 a coin. Because right now, currently, Bitcoin is $75,000 a coin. Now, when you first heard about Bitcoin, you had the wherewithal to get some, right? We all wouldn't be on this call today. But why? Why didn't you get involved? Because you didn't understand what you was hearing about. And if you did hear about it, you heard negative press about it. You heard it was nefarious people involved. You heard that it was only being used by drug dealers and human traffickers. You heard the worst of the worst about it. But then once the world caught on, once you saw how it was going up, then maybe you got involved, right? Maybe you got involved at the wrong time. But here's the principle. We miss opportunities when we fear what we don't understand. That's why I'm going to make it abundantly clear today how valuable what you're hearing about today really is, because you're ahead of the curve. This is going to be the largest wealth transfer of our time. This is another Bitcoin opportunity. Actually, it's a million times bigger, right? It's a million times bigger. And this number 16 trillion, I want to break down to you how big this number is, because this word trillion over the last 10 years, we've been hearing it in different industries, right? But it's hard to wrap your head around how big this number is. Watch this. I'm going to explain this in seconds. Watch this. 1 billion or 1 million. Let's start with that. 1 million seconds ago, not minutes, just seconds. 1 million seconds ago was 11 days ago. Now, 1 billion seconds ago, get this. 1 billion seconds ago was 1994. That was 32 years ago. 1 billion seconds. You want to know how long in the past 1 trillion seconds ago? Just 1 trillion. That was 31,000 years ago. That's how big this number 1 trillion is. I just told you 16 of those in money is going to enter this industry in the next 3 years and 9 months. And the clock is ticking. So you're hearing about something in the very early stages, but guess what? There's money already flying through this industry, and the person who invited you onto this call is already participating. That's why you're here. Now, let me back this up with some data, okay? I'm not just going to preach at y'all today. I want you to have no shadow of a doubt how significant this opportunity truly is. So Trump's Maldives Hotel will be a tokenized real estate project. Now, we're not going to get into politics today. We're not going to talk about whether you like Trump, whether you don't like Trump. That's not the point. Let's talk about the figurehead. The president of the United States has a $300 million tokenized project in operation right now. Okay? All right, that's one headline. What about this? Larry Fink, if you don't know who that is, he is the CEO and founder of a company called BlackRock. This company is so big, right? It has 14 trillion, there's that word trillion again, has $14 trillion worth of assets under management right now. There's only two entities on the planet bigger than this company. That is the United States government and the Chinese government. That's how big this company is. And when Larry Fink speaks, the whole financial world listens. And Larry Fink said that tokenization could do for finance what the early internet did for information. Now, what did the early internet do for information? It sped it up. It sped up the manner in which information is shared all over the world. Tokenization is going to do that for finance, meaning tokenization is going to speed up the manner in which money moves all over the world. And I'm not talking about a little bit of money, guys. I'm talking about billions, hundreds of billions of dollars will move around the world in seconds because of tokenization. Let me put it even more clear for you. Tokenization is the guardrails of the new financial system that's being created right now, right under your nose. This is in theory, this is actually happening. The new financial system is being created, right? And tokenization will be the guardrails of it. That's how big this is. So in other words, the information you're being presented with today, I want to let you know, it's not a choice. It's not a choice. You're either going to participate today with what I'm sharing with you, or you will participate later after the magnitude of the opportunity has significantly diminished. And I'm going to predict the future. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Your bank is going to have tokenization opportunities, and the uneducated are going to rush in. Right now, what does a bank give you in interest? 0.01%, right? Basically nothing. They're going to have tokenization instruments where you can make money with the bank, and they're going to offer you 1, maybe 2%. And it's going to sound amazing because the financially illiterate are going to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. When you could have participated now and actually rode the wave. I learned something a few years ago, right? I saw a quote. The quote goes like this: if you want a chance to get rich and wealthy, find out where the world is going and get there first. Warren Buffett said that. It's really simple. If you want the chance to get rich and wealthy, find out where the world is going and get there first. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're being presented with the information of where the world is going. Not a choice. Remember in the late 90s, early internet, our grandparents were making decisions of if they wanted to get on the internet or not. They were thinking it was a fad. They were thinking it wouldn't last. They were thinking they had a choice until all banking started happening from a phone, to the point where you don't even need to go into a bank. You could take a picture of a check and deposit it in your bank. That's how far we've come, right? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the position we're in right now. People are going to be making decisions about whether they believe tokenization is going to be the future or not. And the ones who don't believe it, they're going to be behind the 8 ball in 4 short years from now, right? And watch this. In New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, in the United States, 460,000 homes have already been tokenized. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the future. This is the now. This is happening. Okay? To the point where approximately $290 billion in real estate value in New Jersey has already been tokenized. Right? Here's another headline: tokenized real estate to represent 15% of estate under management by 2030. Again, 3 years and 9 months from now. And this is not 15% of estate under management just in the United States. No, this is 15% of estate under management in the world, on the planet, okay, by 2030. And by the way, Saudi Arabia has already completed their first tokenized project. So what did you learn in the last few minutes? You learned that dignitaries are involved in tokenization. Billionaires are involved in tokenization. The largest asset management company on the planet is involved in tokenization. There are states that are involved in tokenization. There are countries that are already involved in tokenization. Here's a principle that I follow in the Dyson household, right? Me and my family. This is what I believe. I believe that we should copy billionaires. If you want a chance to get rich and wealthy, all you got to do is copy billionaires. Whatever they're doing, I need to be doing it too. Maybe you follow the same principle, right? But it's really simple. This is where the world is going. Now that you know how big this opportunity is, the magnitude of what tokenization is going to do over the next few short years, now you need to know what it is. What is tokenization? Tokenization is the process of converting real estate assets into digital tokens, enhancing accessibility, and there's that word again, and liquidity, right? So let's make this really simple, right? I don't want to talk over your head. I want to make sure you don't miss it. Watch this. The tokenization of real estate is taking a physical building. We're not talking about the metaverse, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a real address, a physical asset, a single family home, a business, right? A commercial piece of property, right? An apartment building, whatever the real estate asset is, that asset can be broken down into shares, right? Watch this. Let's say a traditional real estate opportunity, right? If you had a single family home, let's use round numbers, $100,000 is the price tag, right? And if you want to buy this single family home, you would need to bring 20% to the closing table. That's about $20,000. Now, either you would have to have that 20,000 or you have to pull in that 20,000 to be able to purchase that asset, right? Well, what I'm describing is taking that single family home in this example, and instead of having to bring the whole 20% to the table, what if you can own a portion of that property? And because you have a part ownership share in that property, you can participate in the profitability of that asset when it's performing. That's what tokenization is. It's taking the asset and breaking it down into shares in the form of digital tokens electronically. So you have legal recourse and you have the right to participate in the profitability of that asset, right? Now, let's take it a step even further. If you can understand the concept of purchasing shares of a company, right? Stocks. If you can understand that, you can understand tokenization. Because what are we doing when we purchase stocks? We are purchasing shares of ownership in that company. The shares represent ownership in that company. That's what the digital tokens represent in tokenized real estate, right? And because you own shares of that company, you can participate in the profitability of that company. It's the same exact concept with tokenized real estate. So what does that do? That gives you access and opportunity for modest investors. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you a few properties on our platform, and one of them you can get involved with as little as $10, right? So now you're not priced out of real estate. You can actually be part owner in a physical real estate asset and participate in the profitability of that asset, the performance of that asset. That creates better liquidity of real estate. What I'm describing is borderless real estate. You don't even have to live in the jurisdiction where the physical property is. You can be halfway across the world earning money from tokenized digital shares of ownership in that physical real estate asset. And because this is all done through blockchain technology and smart contracts and cryptocurrency, that gives more transparent transactions. Now, don't let that scare you. if you've never dealt with cryptocurrency or digital tokens, right? If you've never dealt with it, it's okay. We'll get you educated. We have amazing education through our platform. We are not the type of community to just send links and then you got to figure out how to do it on your own. No, we'll walk you through the process. Even if you've never done it before, doesn't matter. We will hold your hand and help you through that process so you can begin earning through tokenized real estate. Now, if that was a good explanation, if we're all on the same page, can I get a number 3 in the chat? Right? If we are all on the same page, if you understand what I just said, put a number 3 in the chat. If it wasn't clear for you, put a number 1 in the chat. I don't want anybody to get left behind in the explanation of what I'm explaining because we're about to get into the money. I'm about to show you the financial side of this, and I want you to understand how this is going to work. All right, so I see the 3s coming in. I think we are all on the same page. All right. Put a number 4 in the chat. You're not going to drop a number no matter what I say. All right, cool. All right, we're going to keep moving on. All right. So that's what tokenization is. So I'm going to introduce you to this platform called eEstate. eEstate revolutionizes the real estate market, combining cutting edge technology with accessible investment opportunities for everyone, right? Nobody's priced out of this. Everybody can participate. Okay. So what we're going to discuss real properties, right? These are verified real estate assets with real addresses, right? That are all over the world. And it doesn't matter where you're located, you can still participate. Every single one of our assets is insured, so you're fully protected. Obviously, we're not talking about traditional real estate. We're talking about tokenized real estate, right? Every single one of our assets are audited thoroughly. In fact, this got me excited. Every single one of our assets on the eEstate platform is analyzed for a minimum of 10 years of profitability or more. So what does that mean? That means long-term residual income and long-term passive income. Okay. We are LEI verified, which I'll circle back to in a few minutes. And ladies and gentlemen, we are community focused. We are building the largest community of tokenized real estate owners in the world. We're not waiting, we're actually leading from the front. Okay. So let's talk about compliance and verification standards because this was really important to me. When I make business decisions, I make business decisions for not only the present, I want it to be lucrative and beneficial in the present, but I want it to also last 40, 50, 60 years, right? I have 10 children, so I think legacy. So compliance and verification was important to me. I want to make sure that what I'm getting involved in is going to last and is going to be doing things the right way so there's no potential hiccups in the future. So this is what they did, right? We have the FATF, which ensures global standards in anti-money laundering. Because we're talking about real estate. Real estate is a very lucrative and attractive industry. And bad actors all over the world, they look for platforms like ours to take advantage of. But we already have those guardrails in place for anti-money laundering, okay? We also have AML and KYC verification, anti-money laundering, and know your customer verifications in every jurisdiction around the world that we are actually in, which protects systems from financial crimes and fraud, right? So there is no underground network of hackers who can overwhelm our system with bots. There's not one single bot on our platform. Every single person is verified to be a real person. So if any jurisdiction, if any country around the world says, hey, eEstate, we want to see your books, we can simply open them up and let any government arm take a look and verify that we're doing things the right way and not have to skip a beat. All right. And as I mentioned, we are LEI verified, which identifies legal entities and financial transactions. We are verified to be a company that operates on the up and up as far as legal entities and large financial transactions are concerned. All right. And I pulled this up because I wanted to show this to you. All right. Uh-oh. Did it leave? Let me pull it up again. I want to show this to you because this is important. All right. We just got word that business accounts are coming soon to the eState platform. So if you operate your business, right, through a business or through a LLC, right, or through a trust, right, or companies, you will be able to create a profile with eState using those entities, which is a major step in the right direction. This is very exciting information for those of you who understand, right, and are operating on that level. So I was excited to hear about that, right? So now let's get to the money, right? Let's talk about these properties, right? We got real properties in major cities. We have our commercial property in Phoenix, Arizona with long-standing retail tenants. Now, this got me excited. Why? Because I know in traditional real estate, when someone signs a lease, they usually sign like a 1 year, maybe a 2 year lease. But these major box stores, right? These commercial businesses, they sign leases for 30, 50, 70, sometimes even 90 years at a time. That's amazing. I was happy to hear that eState actually has commercial property that we can participate in through tokenized real estate. Why? What does that do for us? Long-term residual income, long-term passive income. We got a luxury villa out in the Bel Air section of Los Angeles offering high-end passive income. I'm going to show you that property as well. Then we got our downtown apartment in Seattle, Washington. Now, that one is actually sold out now. Yes, we do sell out of tokens, right? The tokens are available, but once they're all gone, they're gone. And what does that mean? That means everyone who actually took part in the ownership of this property, they're all enjoying their passive income, right? But e-estate, when one sells out, when one property sells out, we already have a queue of other properties that are already tokenized, ready to go. I'm actually going to show you the property that replaced this Seattle downtown apartment. And we just got a new property that hit our back office on Monday that's located in Hawaii. It's an amazing piece of real estate. I'm going to actually show you all of the properties and how profitable they are. For the sake of time, I'm skip this video, right? But let's talk about the money. We have a two-phase income model. Here's how it works. Phase one is what we call the active phase. Phase two is what we call the passive phase. In phase one, you are going to be able to enjoy 6 to 20% per month in growth on your money through our tokenized real estate. Okay. 6 to 20% per month. Now, that's going to be paid on a weekly basis, Monday through Friday, excluding weekends, but including holidays. It doesn't matter if Monday through Friday falls on a holiday, you still get paid. And there's not a person that's responsible for putting that money in your account. It happens automatically through a smart contract, right? And I'm happy to announce that we haven't missed not one single day of pay since the inception of eState. It happens automatically like clockwork every single day, okay? Now, you get to enjoy phase one for 18 months, okay? Now, when I say 18 months, I want to make sure you understand me clearly because other platforms I've heard about in the past where they lock money up for an extended period of time, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, maybe you've heard of these type of platforms. Usually, you don't get access to your money until that period of time has passed, right? What I'm saying to you is you're going to enjoy phase one for 18 months, but you get paid daily. And you can withdraw that money daily. That's very unique. So you're not waiting the 18 months to touch your money. You're enjoying your profits Monday through Friday, every single day for the entire 18 months. And that money is available to you every single day. That's exciting. Okay. Now, after the 18 months, you automatically cross over into phase two, which is passive. And this is how it works. You're going to enjoy a 10% per year for life influx of money. Okay. And when I say for life, right, I mean for life. And watch this. It's going to be paid to you biannually. So you're going to get 5% every 6 months forever. Forever. Every 6 months. 5%, 6 months. Another 6 months pass, another 5% infusion of cash. That's 10% per year, right? Now, this is usually where I get two questions, right? Here's question number one. Well, Charles, let's say I get started and then in month 7, I need my money back. In month 13, I need my money back. Can I get my money out if I want to? Great question. Question number two. Well, Charles, what if estate sells the property? What then? What happens to my money if they decide to sell the property? Another great question. Okay. Here's where I usually talk to people about compound interest. You have to understand this, right? Because your bank loves compound interest. The car companies, they love compound interest. The student loan companies, they love compound interest. Any company that offers an interest rate, they love compound interest. Why? Because when you buy that car and there's a car note, right? There's an interest rate attached to it. That's compound interest leaving your household, but that's compound interest benefiting that company. When you buy that house and you get an interest rate, right? Because you got a loan from the bank, that's compound interest leaving your household, but that's compound interest benefiting the bank, right? You get it? Here's what needs to happen. You got to get on the other side of that compound interest, which is exactly what I just explained, right? There's a principle. There's an amount you start with, and then there's an interest rate you earn. That's compound interest benefiting your household, right? That's 6 to 20% per month in phase one, that 10% per year paid biannually in phase two. That's compound interest benefiting your household. Why is that important to understand? Because this is how the wealthy get wealthier, right? But to answer those questions that I just proposed, that you probably were thinking about, estate already has in place our buyback policy. What does that mean? Well, again, when you got started, there was a principal amount that you started with, right? Whichever property I show you in a few minutes that you like, there's an amount that you're going to start with to start that earning process, right? Now, question number one, Charles, what if I want to get out? What if 7 months in, I need my money back? What if 13 months in, I need my money back? How do I get it out? Estate's buyback policy. What we're going to do is we're going to buy back your shares. Now, the interest that you earn during that period of time, you get to keep that money. But estate will actually buy back your shares, meaning they will give you back your principal, meaning whatever you started with, that's what will return back to your pocket. We'll buy back your shares. That policy is already in place. Now, question number two. Well, before I move on to question number two, let me say this. Guys, the whole point of compound interest is to let the money work for you long term. So when I show you these properties in a few minutes, I want you to pick the property you like and get started with it, right? But be mindful with what you're starting with. Don't get started with money that you know you're going to miss only 6 months from now, and then you're going to have to benefit from the buyback policy. Why? Because when you exit, when you take your principal out, guess what stops? The compound interest, which defeats the purpose. So keep in mind what amount you want to start with, right? That you will not miss because that money is going to be compounding, right? Understand? That's clear? Okay. Question number two. Well, Charles, what if estate sells the property? What happens then? Guys, the buyback policy is already in place, right? So let's say 7 years passes and you're benefiting financially, right? You're benefiting financially. You already earned your 18 months, right? Active income, and now you're in the passive phase. Well, 7 years down the line, estate sells the property. What happens? Well, all the interest you earned during that 7 years, that's your money. That's yours to keep. But that principal that you originally put in, estate is going to buy back the tokens, the digital tokens that represents your ownership. So if they sell the property, they buy back your tokens, which represents the principal that you first put in, which means whatever you started with, that money goes right back to your pocket. Now, when I first heard this, I said, wait a minute, this is different. This is amazing. I said, what's the catch? Guys, I wouldn't be here if there was a catch. Exactly how I just explained it is exactly how it works. If it worked any different, I wouldn't be here, right? But ladies and gentlemen, it's working. It's working. And here's the question that popped in my head when I first heard this. I said to myself, if this is how it works, why would anyone stop adding to their tokenized real estate portfolio? I mean, if I can always earn 18 months of active income every single time I purchase a property, why would I ever stop? And if every time that 18 months passes, it crosses over into passive income, why would I ever stop? Because here's what happens. If you understand this concept and you continuously add to your tokenized portfolio, one, that means you're always in phase one. Two, that means you're always building your daily income. Three, that means you're always building your monthly income. And four, that means you're always building your long-term passive income, all at the same time. Why would anybody stop? That's what I asked myself. Now, I want to show you this, right? Before I get to show you the properties, I want to show you that the buyback policy that I just explained actually just happened earlier this week. Guess what we did as a company? We just sold the Bali Villa property that was on the estate platform. So everyone who bought shares in the Bali Villa, they all got their shares bought back. This isn't a concept. This actually happened, right? So everybody who got started and purchased digital tokens in the Bali Villa, for that span of time, they earned interest, and once the property was sold, they got their principal back. Just happened, right? And look, I want to show you this. We got a member, right? One of the top members on our platform. His name is Martin McLean. Amazing guy, right? And he just actually transparently showed how much he earned during his ownership of the Bali property. He said the company has completed the buyback for the tourism property. Just received my return today. He started with $6,958. He finished with $16,094. That's amazing. That's amazing return. And then showed the screenshot. Martin McLean, estate buyback. Look, this was March 17th, 2026. That was Monday. $16,094. So everything that I just explained actually happened this week. And I want you to understand why I did that. I want you to understand. Put a number 5 in the chat if you think that's amazing. Because again, I'm going to say it again. This is not a concept. This is actually happening. Everything I'm explaining is actually happening, y'all. You finally stumbled upon something that's real and that actually works, right? All right, so let me get into these properties. I'm going to show you the properties, right? And how lucrative this is. All right, so now, at the end of this call, I'm going to invite you to return and get back to the person who invited you here. They're going to give you a link so you can get started, absolutely free, right? You're going to create your account. You're going to go through the verification process, which is very, very simple and very fast. And once you get your back office and you log in, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to click buyer and then click real estate, and you'll be able to get to this screen that you see right here, right? Now I'm going to show you the properties. This is our Miami, Florida property. Beautiful property. Okay. When I first saw this property, I was like, wait a minute, this is high quality, right? I said to myself, it's probably going to cost maybe like $3,000, $5,000 to get involved in this. When I first heard this particular piece of information that you're hearing right now, when I saw the quality of the actual property, I was like, man, this is immaculate. No way they're going to let people in for less than $3,000. Guys, you can own a piece of this property through tokenization for only $10 minimum. For only $10. Guys, this is breaking down barriers. I want you to understand the magnitude of this. I want you to understand the thinking behind this. This means not only can people in America, right, in London, right, in the Great Britain, in all over Europe, not only can, I hate this term, I'm not even going to say it, but not only can jurisdictions like that get involved, but in places like Indonesia, in places like Kenya, in places like Brazil, right, in places like Mexico, in other areas of the world, right? People can still get involved because the barrier of entry is so low. Only $10, right? Now, can we have a sobering conversation? Can we be honest real quick? Because I don't want to overhype this. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. Guys, $10 is not going to change your life. Okay? $10 is a start. And the beautiful thing about a start is it's just a start. It's not the end, it's the beginning. But I understand that some people despise small beginnings, right? In November 2017, no, in November 2012, right? I had to start somewhere. Financially desolate. I'm talking bills upon bills upon bills, right? It was bad. But here's what I knew. I knew I had to start somewhere. I had to learn how money really works. And I had to start somewhere. If your budget says you have to start with just $10, guess what? Good for you because you're starting, right? Good for you because you're starting. But here's the principle. Continue. That's the principle. That's what I did. I continue. I didn't just start. I didn't start putting money, right, in places that can grow and then just sit back and say, rain on me, rain the dollars down on me. No, that's not how it works. You got to understand that this is a mentality, and this platform will work amazing for you. But if your budget says you just got to start with $10, understand it's just a start, but you got to continue. You got to create a schedule, right? If you want this to work for you in a major way. Right now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This should not be viewed as such. I'm just telling my story, right? That's all I'm doing. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying, okay? But please don't misconstrue me. This is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I did and how it worked out for me and the mentality necessary to continue to elevate. Everybody understand what I'm saying? All right, so now that I made that clear, right? I want you to understand there's other properties, right? This is the Seattle, Washington one. It's sold out. You see all the shares have been purchased, okay? But then I'm going to show you the one that replaced this one, okay? This is the Lake House, okay? In Lakeside, Oregon. You see the minimum purchase amount is $250. Now, when you get your back office, the reason this is important and you want to start your account today is because you can get back here and play with this number. The minimum purchase amount is 250, but you can change this to, for example, 500. Or if you wanted to start with more, you can change it to 1500, right? Or if you wanted to change it to something more, you can see what it would be if you started with 3000. And what it will show you is how much you'll make per day. Remember, this hits your back office every day, okay? So you're getting paid daily. It'll show you how much you'll get paid per month. It'll show you the break-even point, meaning how long will it take for my purchase amount to be back in my pocket? The answer in this scenario is 10 months. And it also will show you how much you'll make during the 18-month active phase, right? This number right here. But again, on Lakeside, Oregon property, the minimum you can put in, $250. Now, you'll see as I go through these properties, you'll see the quality of the properties. There's a standard that we uphold on the e-estate platform, okay? And you'll see that standard being upheld through the quality of property that you have the ability to take part in, profitable, right? To build your profits, and also ownership, right? You want to be proud of the property that you are a part owner of. I should let you know that e-estate has over 50 years of experience in real estate through our company, Eli Properties, right? Eli Property is the arm of e-estate that actually is responsible for going out and finding these properties, analyzing these properties, and then during the profit outcast, how much money that the property will produce, right? We got over 50 years of experience in real estate, so we're not practicing. Now, another question that I want to address, right? You might be saying to yourself, well, Charles, okay, everything sounds amazing, right? But how do I know that the people that are getting started today are not funding the people who got started previously? Because that would be the definition, the very definition of a Ponzi scheme. How do I know that that's not what's happening on this platform? Great question. I want to introduce you to our tokenized property disclosure and asset report. E-estate goes above and beyond. They don't have to do this, but they do, right? For professionals like you who may have that question, right? We actually have a report where the same exact information that e-estate as a company analyzed, they make that information available to all of us. They give you a snapshot of the asset, right? All the specs. They give you a snapshot of the land access and environmental overview. They give you a snapshot of the short-term rental performance and overview. How much money is this property projected to make, right? They give you the property ownership and legal status, proving that Eli Property Group Inc. is the company that owns this property, which means e-estate owns this property. They even go to the extent of pulling up the public records and showing you that we actually own the property. I want y'all to understand, e-estate didn't have to do this, but they did. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go all the way through this, but I am going to make this available to you. Like I said, I want you to have, without a shadow of a doubt, I want you to have everything you need to understand that this is real and that you can get involved with the peace of mind knowing that this company is actually doing everything the right way. We got our annual financial report for 2025, which goes through what actually took place as a company in e-estate. What were we able to accomplish? What were our objectives and what did we actually do? I'm gonna make this report available to you, right? And then finally, our Vision 2034 roadmap to the future of tokenized real estate. What do we plan to accomplish as a company by 2034? This report, I'm dropping in the chat so you can go over it in your own time. I'm making it available to you so you can see and have all the answers to the questions that you may have so you can actually get involved. All right. So that's the Lakeside, Oregon house. All right. Now the Desert Villa. This is in Arch Cape, Oregon. All right. This is actually our beach house. Literally, the backyard is the beach. Beautiful property, right? And every single one of these properties I'm showing you are already cash flowing. You see the minimum purchase amount, $480, right? Right? You see how much you'll make per month. You'll see what your break even point is. That's when this money will be back in your pocket. And you'll see that you'll make double your money in 18 months, right? And again, you can change this number to whatever number you want to see what the profitability would be if you actually purchase tokens on this particular property. I will let you know that this one is almost sold out. We got 174,000 tokens. 167,000 have already been purchased. So this one's almost sold out. We got our Desert Villa. Now, this one is the one that replaced the Seattle, Washington property. And look at the quality. Look at this property. It's immaculate. Okay. This is the quality of the property that you will have the ability to share in profits with. Okay. And again, I thought when I saw this, I said, yeah, this is going to be at least 5,000 to get involved. Ladies and gentlemen, only $1,000, right? You're making $100 per month, $109 per month. Your break even point is only 8 months. As I show you these properties, I want you to see that the break even time is actually compressing. It's getting smaller and smaller, and you'll make almost double your money in that 18-month period. Okay. This is our LA villa. Again, beautiful property, right? Beautiful property. Okay. This one, minimum $3,120. Now, this right here, this property and beyond is where it starts to get serious. Okay. This property, you're making about $20 a day, about $400 per month. Your break even point is getting shorter. It's only 7 months. And you'll make double, over double your money in that 18-month active phase, right? $7,193. And this is just the minimum. Like I said, you can play with this number, put whatever number in here you want when you get in your back office, and you'll see how much money you'll make in that break-even point, right? How long it will take, and also how much you'll make per day, per month, and within that 18-month period. This is the brand new property. This is the one out in Hawaii. This is our Maui Villa. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. And you can take part in ownership in this property as well. Okay. Minimum $4,950. You make about $30 a day, about $634 a month. Your break even point is only 7 months. And look at this. A little bit over double, $11,415 you'll make in an 18-month period. Okay. Now this is the e-commerce business. Oh, e-commerce. This is the this is the commercial property out in Phoenix, Arizona. Minimum amount is getting serious. $10,270. But look, you're making about $75 a day. You're making about $1,500 to $1,700 per month. Your break even point is getting shorter, only 6 months. You're making almost triple your money in the 18-month period, $27,563. Okay. Now, every property I just showed you is what we call buyer level 1. Okay. Only buyer level 1. We have buyer levels, right? Maybe you'll see buyer level 2, right? Here's the buyer level 2 property, Los Angeles, California, right? Like I said, it gets serious. Minimum amount, $24,590. You're making $186 a day. You're making about $3,924 per month. Your break-even point is only 6 months, but you're making almost triple your money. You're making $70,640 in about an 18-month period. You might say to yourself, well, Charles, I like this property. I want to start here. Well, you can't. You got to start with buyer level 1. You can't skip buyer levels. Well, Charles, why? That doesn't sound fair. Well, guess what? That's just good business, right? You got to start on buyer level 1, right? And the reason why is because when you purchase your tokenized real estate, 8 people get paid. Huh? Huh? What do you mean? Yeah, When you purchase your tokenized real estate, guess what? 8 other people get paid. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes, right? Just hold that thought. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. Buyer level 3, Los Angeles, California, right? We got a land plot. This is actually producing income as well, right? Minimum purchase amount, $51,310. What you make per day, $415 a day. Per month, $8,700 per month. Your break-even point is only 5 months. That $51,000 is back in your pocket in only 5 months. 18 months later, in a total of 18 months, $157,000 you'll earn. That's buyer level 3. Buyer level 4, we got a development out in Dubai, borderless real estate. $99,250 minimum purchase amount. Look at what you're making per day. $843 per day. $17,700 per month. Break even point only 5 months. And you're making triple your money, $318,000 in an 18-month period. And then buyer level 5, this is the big boy, right? The business development out in Dubai, $255,700 minimum. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to pay attention to this purchase amount right here. We got 4.2 million shares available. Guess what? People are buying it. This ain't here just to look cute. People are actually making money from this property. 465,000 shares have already been purchased. And look at what they make per day. $2,300 a month. They're making someone's yearly income every month, $48,000 a month. The break-even point is only 5 months. And the total profit, $869,000 in an 18-month period. So, ladies and gentlemen, this gets serious, right? Like I said, the Miami property is just a starting point, and a start is just a start. But do whatever's comfortable for you. Start wherever is comfortable for you, but let it just be a start. Does that make sense? Now, I gave you a lot of information over the last few minutes. Put a number 8 in the chat if this is exciting. If what I've explained thus far makes all the sense in the world, put a number 8 in the chat, right? Now, did anybody notice that I didn't say you had to tell a soul? Right? This ain't one of those things, y'all. This ain't one of those. You can put your money to work for you. Don't tell anybody and still make great money. Anybody notice that? If I stop right here, this would be an amazing platform. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you can get involved, get your money working for you, and literally have a great stream of income that is 100% passive. Okay? However, put a number 15 in the chat if you will graciously give me 15 minutes more to show you how you can make even more money from the platform. 15 minutes. Put a number 15 in the chat if you want to hear more. If you want to hear how much more lucrative this can be, just the number 15. I just need 15 more minutes, right? Now, I see the 15s coming in. Watch this. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? It's amazing by itself. Now, let me preface these comments. Everything I'm about to say from this point forward is 100% optional. You do not have to do it. It's a matter of preference, okay? And there's no pressure from me. There's no pressure from the person who is introducing you to this for you to do what I'm about to say. If you want to, great. If you don't, great. Either way, you could get started and just build your tokenized portfolio and build your daily, your monthly, and your passive stream of income, short-term and long-term, right? However, what I'm about to explain, right? What I'm about to explain completely changed my life. That period of time I talked about from November 2012 to April 2013, where I made more money than I've ever made in my entire life. Granted, it was with something way harder than what I'm about to explain, right? But it's the concept that changed my life. And it's the concept, the principle of leverage. Here's the interesting thing about leverage. You're already participating. You're already participating. Do you know people go a whole lifetime without really understanding how leverage works, even though they participate on a daily basis? Watch this. If you have a home that you rent or a home that you purchased, you're being leveraged. Okay. If you have an electric bill, a water bill, right, a Netflix bill, right, any type of bill, you're being leveraged. You're being leveraged. When you leave your home, you go to the grocery store. When you purchase those groceries, you're being leveraged. Any box store you go to, any restaurant, you're being leveraged. When you go back home, you get on social media, guess what? You're being leveraged. Well, wait, Charles, I didn't pay for social media. Yes, you did. You pay with your attention every single day. And because you pay with your attention, Mark Zuckerberg became a billionaire without charging you a penny. But you paid with your attention. Guess what? You're being leveraged, right? If you purchase things online, Amazon.com, any other website, guess what? You're being leveraged. Let's take it in a little bit more, right? When you go to the grocery store, let's use the grocery store as an example. You go into the grocery store, you fill up your cart, you go to the line, you take out your debit card or credit card, you pay for it, you leave. But guess what? You never think about the fact that you don't know who owns the grocery store. You don't know who invested in the grocery store. But somebody got wealthier when you made that transaction, right? You're being leveraged and you don't have a problem with it. But guess what? On the other side, the grocery store owner doesn't know your name. The investors in the grocery store, they know nothing about you. And they're comfortable with that. They don't need to know you. They set up a system that they benefit from without having to know you. Here's the principle. I need you to become okay with making money from people you don't know. Because your entire life is built that way. Do you know the owner of the electric company or the investors in the electric company, but yet you pay that bill and you're absolutely okay with it? I need you to get on the other side of that leverage and become okay with making money from people you don't know. And when I wrap my head around this concept, I promise you everything changed. Let me show you how estate makes this possible for us, right? Now, before I even get into how you become a digital real estate agent, right? I want to explain the concept of a traditional real estate agent. A traditional real estate agent does this. They got to find someone who wants to sell a home, okay? And they got to get that home under contract, giving them legal right to sell the home, okay? But then they got to go out and they got to find a buyer. And then they got to take that buyer to the home and show the home and help that buyer fall in love with the home. And then once the buyer likes the home, then they have to help them settle on the price with the seller. And once that price is settled upon, they get to the closing table. But how many of y'all understand the closing table is where deals blow up? So you might have did all that work for absolutely nothing, right? But let's just say the deal goes through. Then it's time to get paid. But wait, it takes about 30, sometimes 60, 90 days for that deal to be finalized. And then you're going to make 3 to 5%. That's your commission. But wait, you got to split it with the broker. So you might not even get that whole 3 to 5% that you made. And after that, guess what you got to do? You got to go do it again. And then you got to do it again. And then after that, you got to go do it again. Why? Because it's linear income. If they stop selling homes, they stop getting paid. That's traditional real estate. Now, let me talk to you about what happens when you become a digital real estate agent through estate. Ladies and gentlemen, you can invite someone to a webinar just like this. You don't even have to give the information. This webinar happens every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we got webinars 7 days a week with other phenomenal individuals that share this vision. So you got 7 days a week opportunity to help people hear this information, right? And when they say they want to get started, they got to get started with you. Now, guess what happens? They're going to pick out of the properties that you just saw, right? They're going to pick, and then they're going to purchase their tokens. And when they do, you get a 6% commission instantly. You don't have to wait for your commission. It hits your back office, and that money is available for withdrawal immediately. immediately, right? Now, watch this. You're already making more than a traditional real estate agent. And by the way, if you know other traditional real estate agents, invite them to hear this information because they absolutely love this information. I promise you. Okay. But watch this. Here's the difference. Whenever that person, remember a few minutes ago, I said, why would anybody stop building their tokenized real estate portfolio? Well, guess what? If they understand this concept and they continue building their tokenized portfolio, every time they make another purchase, you get paid another 6% every time. You know what that's called? That's called getting paid in perpetuity. You do the work one time, and because the system rewards you when that person is building their tokenized portfolio, that's getting paid in perpetuity into the foreseeable future. Because there's people like me that's purchasing every single month. There's people within our community who purchase every single week. How many of you would like to help somebody get started who has that mentality? And you get paid 6% every single time they purchase. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be introduced to the agent opportunity. Now, how do you get started as a digital real estate agent? Number one, you pay your membership fee. It's only $9 a month. That's it. Or you could pay annually. You could pay $90 annually, right? And save 2 months. But it's accessible for everybody on this call, either $9 a month or $90 a year. Take your pick, okay? Step two, fill out your online application. Now, it's easy, right? It takes less than 5 minutes. Don't have any anxiety about the online application. It's really easy, right? Step three, sign your contract. Yes, there's a contract. It's very clear and easy to understand. It just outlines your responsibilities as a digital real estate agent, outlines the company's responsibilities, what they're going to provide for you, right? And basically, it's just to make sure you don't misrepresent the company and get out here and say things you're not supposed to say, right? And then step four, you get access to the platform. You get a digital website. You get to put your picture on your website, right? You could even put this presentation on your website, right? The one that you're on right now, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, after that, you can go ahead and start sharing the opportunity and get paid for doing it, right? Now, I just explained one piece of the main sources of income, right? The deal commissions, but we actually get paid 4 different ways: deal commissions, profit commissions, agent bonuses, and e-token rewards. Now, the deal commissions, I just explained to you what happens when you personally refer somebody, right? That person hits your first level, and anytime they make a purchase on the platform, you get a 6% commission. But it gets even better. Here's where the leverage comes into play. That person has a network of people that you don't know. Right now, they have a decision to make. They may hear this opportunity and say, you know what? I don't want to be a digital real estate agent. I only want to build my portfolio. And that is absolutely fine. Let that person just build their tokenized portfolio. Okay. Everybody doesn't have to be an agent. Some people on this call, you may not want to be an agent, and that's okay. Right. But I do want you to know how it works. Right. So watch this. That person might say, I do want to be an agent. I know a bunch of people who would love this. Well, when they go out and start helping people get started, those people will fall to your second level. And whenever they build their tokenized portfolio, you're going to get 2% per transaction. Per transaction. Watch this. Per person. Right? You can help as many people as you want get started. You might say, you know what? I know 3 people that would love this. And you help those 3 people get started. That's perfectly fine. You might say, I know 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, however many you know, right? It's up to you. But guess what? That creates some leverage for you when that person becomes a tokenized real estate agent, right? So guess what? The people on the second level, they're going to know people. And some of those people might become digital real estate agents. Well, you get 2% per transaction per person on your third level as well, and on your fourth level, and on your fifth level. And then it works the same way on the sixth, seventh, and eighth level. You get 1% per person per transaction on the sixth, seventh, and eighth level. Now, remember I said we got buyer levels, right? And you can't skip buyer levels. I showed you buyer level two. It's about $24,000 to get started with that property, right? And you might say, well, Charles, I want to start on buyer level two. You can't. You got to start on buyer level one, and you can't skip levels. Well, guess what? 8 people get paid when you purchase your tokenized real estate. And when I said that, I was talking about the deal commissions. Because you'll be on someone's level one, but you'll also simultaneously be on somebody's level 5 and someone else's level 8. Everybody gets paid from that transaction. This is what I mean by leverage. I fell in love with leverage when I really started to understand this. Now, somebody on this call might be saying, well, Charles, I can't get excited about 2%. That's not a lot of money. Hold on now. Wait a minute. Don't speak too fast. Because we got people who get started with 10,000, 25,000, 50,000. Their first tokenized purchase, $100,000. A few weeks ago, we got somebody that got started with $200,000. I heard through the grapevine that there's an individual considering getting started with $1 million. Our first $1 million tokenized purchase is on the horizon. It's going to happen. Now, let me ask you a question. You're minding your business. You log into your back office one day, and there's a $2,000 commission sitting in your back office. You have no clue where it came from. You don't know why it's there. You didn't do a real estate deal, right? That wasn't your real estate deal, but yet there's a $2,000 commission sitting there. It's available for withdrawal immediately, or you can use some of it to purchase your tokenized real estate. Now, how many of you will have a problem with that? Nobody. And here's what I want you to understand about leverage. Ladies and gentlemen, that can't happen for you if you're not a tokenized real estate agent. Because that person could have got started on your second level and they had the ability to start with $100,000. I don't want you to think that's far-fetched because it happens all the time. What happens is some people, they get locked into their own socioeconomic background, and they don't consider the fact that somebody might know somebody that knows somebody that has the ability to get started with more. And because you were in position, you could benefit from the transaction. Put a number 3 in the chat if you understand what I just explained. See, you don't know the ripple effect that will take place after you refer someone that wants to be a digital real estate agent, and then they start referring some people, and then they become a digital real estate agent and they start referring people. You don't know the ripple effect that'll take place. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, profit commission. How does this work? Remember, the person you refer, they're getting paid Monday through Friday, right? From their tokenized portfolio. Company says, you know what we're going to do? Whatever the people you refer, whatever they're making per day, we're going to pay you 5% per day of whatever they're making. Per person on your first level. Oh my God. So whoever's on your first level, they're getting paid daily. The profit commission on the first level says whatever they're making every day, you're going to get 5% per person per day. And then your second level, whatever those people are making, you're going to get 2% per person per day. Third level works the same way. Fourth and fifth level, 1% per person per day. Put a pin in that. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Now let's talk about our agent levels and bonuses, right? We have something called turnover. Turnover just speaks to 2 different things. One, whatever you purchase for your tokenized real estate portfolio, 100% of whatever you purchase goes towards your turnover. 2, a portion of anybody in your organization, 8 levels deep, a portion of whatever they purchase goes towards your turnover. Anybody on your first level, 80% goes towards your turnover. Second level, 40%. Third level, 20%. Fourth level, 10%. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth level, 5% of whatever those people, whatever they build their tokenized portfolio with, 5% goes towards your turnover. Let's say you get started. You're like, I love this, right? I like this. I'm going to get started with $500. Guess what? You immediately hit level one. Okay. Or let's say you personally get started with $500. You can hit level one on your own and you'll get 100 of our native token ETK. Let me show you what you can do with this ETK, right? Real quick. Go to your back office when you have one, click rewards and get to the money wheel. I want you to collect your daily rewards by clicking this button. It's free, right? It's free ETK. And I want you to see here that there's a money wheel. When you spin it, you can win anywhere from 50 cents up to $1,000. I've been on a live webinar where Anthony Deloach won $1,000. Now that money it gets deposited to your e-wallet immediately, and you can either withdraw that money or you can use it to purchase tokenized real estate. Either one. It takes 100 of the ETK to spin this wheel. I'm gonna spin it right in front of you. Let's see what I get. So I click the button, it's spinning. I won $3. So I got $3 added to my e-wallet immediately. That's how the money wheel works. Okay. You can use your 100 ETK to spin the money wheel, right? So that's how that works. But then let's say you get started with the LA Villa, $3,120. You'll hit level one and level two. Every other level besides level one has a cash bonus attached to it. Okay. Level three, let's say you get started with the commercial property yourself, $10,270. Well, you hit level one, level two, and level three. You get all of that. Now, level four is 25,000. Let's say it's cumulative. You and your first level, second level, third level, however it happens, $25,000 in turnover. Put a circle around level four if you're taking notes. Level four is where you open up the first level of profit commission that I explained. All your first level people are making money every day, right? And you get 5% of whatever they're making per day per person. That opens up on the fourth level of your agent level bonuses, okay? And then so forth and so on. The next rank or level you hit, you open up the second level. The next one you hit, you open up the third, and so forth and so on. So you see, level 5, $50,000 in turnover. Level 6, 100,000. Level 7, 200,000. Level 8, 400,000. Level 9, 700,000. Level 10, a million. Right? And you see the $1 million level. Level 10 comes with a $10,000 bonus. Okay? Now, we have another 20 levels that goes up to level 20. Level 20 has a $50,000 bonus. Now, you could be thinking, well, Charles, $1 million in turnover, that's a lot of money. No, it's not. Not in real estate, it's not. If we were talking about lotions, potions, skincare products, coffee, yeah, I would say that's a lot of coffee we got to sell, right? In real estate, $1 million is not a lot. I promise you, it's not, right? Somebody on your first level can get started with $100,000. You never know, right? And you'll have $80,000 of actual turnover from that one person. So you see, right? You'll hit level 5 with that one person that got started and only be $20,000 away from level 6. This don't have to take long, okay? You never know how the ripple effect will happen for you. And just to make sure you understand that this is actually happening for people, I want you to see this. There are people who are doing this all over the world. All right, you heard me talk about Mark McLean. He's an agent level 11 right now. He just hit agent level 11. Mr. Brandon Ivy, I believe he's a level 6 now, right? Mr. Anthony Deloach, a few days ago, just hit level 9, right? Miss Deanna, Mr. Keith, they both hit level 5. Siwa, I believe, is a level 6 already, I believe, right? We got Queen D, right? Level 5. She might have advanced as well. This young lady right here, she's a level 4, but guess what? She hasn't referred one single person. How did she do that? Remember, you can become a tokenized real estate agent, but 100% of your own purchases count towards your turnover. So you can actually be getting these bonuses from whatever you personally are purchasing. So, yes, you can become a digital real estate agent, not refer one single person, and still get extra benefits just because you became an agent, right? So it's absolutely amazing. All right, so that's my time. Y'all gave me an extra 15 minutes, and I really appreciate you. I hope you see the magnitude of this opportunity, right? What happened? If you're an agent and you sign up people, what happens to those people if they're no longer want to be an agent and quit? Who do they get assigned to and who then gets paid? If they are not a part of the platform anymore and they're not referring, then guess what? There's nothing to be assigned, right? So it's a non-starter. Okay. Um, any other questions? Y'all have the freedom to ask questions. I'm done. Get back to the person who invited you here. If you want to stay a little while longer, extra 10, 15 minutes, if you have questions, you can ask them. I will stay and answer every single question. But that's the end of the call. Everybody, listen, if you heard this for the first time, please honor the person who showed you this by getting back to them. And whether you like it or don't like it, let them know, right? Because they thought of you when they heard $1 million idea. So that's a person you want to keep in your network, right? So get back to them, let them know what you thought. If you are going to get started, they'll give you a link. They'll walk you through helping you get started. We have a help desk on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and on Telegram, right? We have amazing support to help everybody be able to get started the right way, even if you've never dealt with cryptocurrency before. So we'll walk you through it, okay? It's been my pleasure to give you this information, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great Saturday. All right. Anybody who has questions, you can raise your hand. You can type it in the chat if you want to ask your question verbally. I'll unmute you. But I'll be more than happy to answer your questions if you have any. All right. Anybody? Going once. Going twice. I see you, Reginald. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, Charles, God bless you, man. First of all, once again, amazing presentation, man. Every time you come on, you always relight my furnace, man. So I want to tell you, man, you're an amazing presenter, right?
I appreciate you, my brother.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those who are listening, whether it's your first time or not, listen, everything this brother just put out is absolutely true.
Yes, sir.
I started with this company in September. And, when I first heard about it, it made me like many of you. You think, man, this sounds like some old BS. I said it. I told my wife, I said, baby, this sounds like some BS. But you know what? I like it. And then I sit there and I prayed. And I said, look, Lord, open my ears if this is really real. And here it is now. I'm in March, 8 properties later. I wake up every morning and walk down the hall from my bedroom to my office, and I hit that mouse and turn that computer on, and I just smile. What a great way to start the day. And it doesn't matter what the markets are doing. A lot of people think, well, just like, Bitcoin is rising and falling. Our platform does not, we don't participate in that. We know what we're going to do, okay? And when you have a calculated risk, hey, this is absolutely amazing. So, brother, thank you so much, man, for once again, just, lighting my fire, and let's just keep spreading the good news, man.
Absolutely, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for the testimony, my brother. I appreciate you. And shout out to him. He's actually going through the levels. He's doing amazing. So congratulations on all the success you're experiencing. Mike, I see you, my brother. I'm going to unmute you. What's going on, my friend?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And just to let you know, you did a great job, as you already know.
Thank you, my brother.
I did learn a couple new things today, which was great. So I want to clarify on my question, like multiple question there. So what I meant was, so I have 4 people I've signed up, okay, as buyers.
Mhm.
Now, if they become agents or whatnot, and let's say down the road, I quit.
Mm.
Okay. Because I know somebody's going to ask me this question.
Mhm.
So I quit, but they're all making money, and the money, the percentages that I would receive if I was still active would come to me. If I quit, where would that go to, and who would they then be placed under? They would have to go under somebody. Would that be correct?
Right. So when you say quit, do you mean that you no longer want to be a part of estate? You no longer want to enjoy the profits from your tokenized real estate. You want to separate yourself from estate completely.
Correct. Correct. Where would my people go and be listed under?
So in that case, you would participate in the buyback policy. So you would have to, get your money back from the company. At that point, I don't want to say for certain where those people will go. What I can do is I'll get that answer. If you come back next week, I'll have a definitive answer for you. I don't want to give incorrect information. So I'll go ahead and research, get that answer, and come back next week with the answer to that question. Does that sound fair?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that question will come up because somebody's always asking, what's the downfall, the drawback of this, which I haven't found anything yet.
I
And then
haven't found
that,
one either.
and then this popped into my head. Um, so the buyback policy, that was great. I did not
Mhm.
know that, so I learned that. And what was the other thing? That was very important, that
Mhm.
buyback, because a lot of times somebody had asked me that and I didn't know. So
No,
uh,
absolutely. I'll make sure I get that answer for you
okay.
by next week. But generally speaking,
Mhm.
human nature, if someone is making money passively,
Right,
right?
right,
Human nature says they're not going to be like, I don't want to make this money anymore. Right?
right. I
But
get that. So imagine if there were other things involved, like I die or something,
that's a
or
good point. Now,
you know,
I should mention this. Your profits, your tokenized portfolio is willable to your heirs. That actually is in place. So you can actually set up your legacy with your tokenized real estate and have it assigned to be passed on to someone else if that was the case.
right.
That's a good piece of
And of course,
information.
we would still have to find out where those people would go.
Mhm. Yeah, I got you. I'll
Yeah,
figure that out. I'll have that answer for
for
you
sure.
by next week.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the
Thank you. I
question,
appreciate you.
Mike.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Great question. How do I get the recording? Trinity, usually what I do after the calls is I'll drop the recording inside of the chats, right? Whatever chat you're in, you'll see this recording pop in there by, I would say about 5 o'clock for sure. 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Thank you, my brother. When I represent this to someone searching GPT is given this not secure, but I know won't represent if it's not secure. Yeah. Okay. So whenever, like, I'll say this, right? The mindset of the individual you're talking to, however they think and view opportunity, their confirmation bias will be confirmed. So if they're a naturally pessimistic person, when they say they're going to go do research, they're going to go get their confirmation bias confirmed. If you go looking for negative things, I promise you, you're going to find it. If you go looking for positive things, I promise you, you're going to find it. But when myself and the other leaders on the platform, Anthony Deloche, Mr. Brandon Ivy, the other leaders on the platform, when we give these presentations, that's why we go above and beyond to leave no shadow of a doubt that this is real and it's actually happening. Because some people are like that. When they get off of this webinar, they're going to go Google, they're going to go chat GBT. And unfortunately, you're always going to find someone who's negative about anything, right? Just how it is. Here's something I can tell you, right? whenever someone says they're going to go do their research, I ask politely, well, when you say research, what do you mean? Where are you going to go look? And if they say, well, I just want to go type in Google and I say, I want to go research Brandon Stevenson or Mr. Mike Hamilton. These are owners of the platform. I want to go see what I can find about these individuals. I politely let them know, okay, that's fine. Let me ask you a question. If you find negative things about the company, how would that influence your decision? I let them tell me. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'm telling you right now, you're going to go find negative things about the company. I tell them straight up, not trying to hide anything. You're going to go find negative things about this company, right? My question for you is, will that have weight in your decision making? Or will the information that you were just presented with, will that outweigh the negative things that you find? Because I'm no way, shape, or form trying to convince anybody to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what we're doing? We're making money passively from tokenized real estate. You don't have to convince anybody to do anything. That's the beautiful thing about our platform. We are not dependent upon people to make money. Our assets make us money. Isn't that a wonderful position to be in? So when I talk to somebody and they say they have to go do research, I just want to know, what does that research look like for you? And how will that decision, how will that information you find, negative or positive, weigh on the decision that you're about to make? Because guess what? I don't want you to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. I'm going to let you know right now, you're going to find negative things. But I want to let you know that will not change the fact of what's happening with e-estate. We are making money. Whether you get started or not, guess what? This is going to continue to work. And the unforgivable thing about time is you can't get it back. 2030 is coming, whether you like it or not. And this entire time, you could have been making money, but guess what you did? You let negativity weigh on your decision making. That's sad. You're going to miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Watch this, a $10 opportunity of a lifetime. Because really, if you wanted to do real research, you would risk $10 and see if it works. Or you would risk $100 and see if it works. Or you would risk $250 and see if it works. Whatever is comfortable for your budget. If you really wanted to do real research, sign up. Put whatever wouldn't matter to you into the system and see if e-estate delivers on exactly what they say they're going to do. That's real research. That will give you a real answer. But if you go online looking for negativity, you'll get tricked out of an opportunity of a lifetime because you let other negative people influence your decision making. That's how you deal with somebody who says they want to go do research. Because guys, ain't no research better than getting paid while researching. Right? You can create that account and absolutely do all the research you want. Let's say e-estate didn't pay me today. Not going to happen. It's a smart contract. The money pops in our back office automatically, right? So that politely, not arrogantly, politely, because I like people who ask questions. I like people who are pessimistic. Why? Because it means they're trying to protect themselves. There's a lot of scams out here. So they're doing the right thing. They're thinking the right way. All you have to do is lead them in that thinking to help ease that skepticism and help them see that it's real. We don't have to be pushy at all, right? But when leadership requires guidance, having the ability to guide people through questions, not through being pushy or arrogant or condescending, but having a real conversation with someone. I'm going to go do research. Well, what do you mean when you say that? What does your research look like? Right? And then being honest with them. Yeah, you're gonna find some negative stuff. It's out there. We can't hide from it. It's out there. If you go research, guess what? You're gonna find some negative stuff. But how does that influence your decision making after you find it? Could your research be, hey, let me get started with 10, 15, 20, $100, and let's see if estate delivers on what they say they're going to do? That's the best type of research, right? Hope that answers your question, right? How does auto capitalization work? That's an amazing question. Let me show you. All right. So in the back office, we got buyer, real estate. Let's say you want to get started on the lake house, $250, right? You click buy property, and there's this button right here that says enable auto capitalization. What does that mean? When you click this button, that means that, remember how I said we get paid daily, right? The daily pay. That means that you are okay with not having the ability to withdraw whatever you're making every day. You don't have a problem with not being able to withdraw. What they're going to do is they're going to take your daily pay and automatically recapitalize into the property over an 18-month period. So it's going to compound your money automatically for the entire 18 months. And at the end of that 18 months, you'll get everything you earned from the property. It's absolutely amazing, but you have to have a certain mentality, and you have to make sure that you're not going to miss that money. Because let's say you decide to put $10,000 in. If you want to be able to withdraw that $45 a day, guess what? You do not want to click enable auto capitalization, because you want to be able to touch your money, your profit every day, right? But if you click enable auto capitalization, that means whatever you're making, you won't be able to touch it for the entire 18 months. Does that make sense? That's what that means. All right. I was the one on Instagram that message, so I will send you a message for, okay. All right, Trinity, I'm with you. I'll get to you right after this call ends. Okay. Awesome. Freddie, I have a negative signer who hasn't bought anything. He said our leaders aren't real people and other things. I laughed and said we've seen him in person that he wanted to buy a house in October, changed his mind. I bought a house in December, showed him. After 12 days, I had accumulated $100 in profits. He was silent. Hey, you're gonna get people like that. People like, look, guys, I'm telling you, when it comes to opportunity, you know, um, like I said, everybody has a confirmation bias. You know, some people are gonna make those claims. Some people are gonna say, Mike Hamilton sounds like he's AI. Brandon Stevenson sounds like he's AI. They're not real people. Some people who There's some people who will find any excuse to confirm their fears. That's all it boils down to. What did I say during the presentation? Um, people miss out on opportunities because of fear. I vow to never allow my fear to prevent me from capitalizing in an opportunity ever again. Because what the example I gave with Bitcoin happened to all of us, every single one of us. We wouldn't be here if we would have just had the wherewithal to put $1,000 in Bitcoin in 2010. It happened to every single one of us. I vow to not let that happen again. You got to be there mentally, ready, prepared for the opportunity that you say you want. And Freddie, that's a perfect example that you just explained in the chat of an individual who will allow their confirmation bias to prevent them from earning money. It's just the way some people think, right? And those of you who are digital real estate agents, I promise you, this is a real conversation, right? I promise you that you're going to run across those people, but your posture has to be correct. When you know what you know, and you know you're earning from your digital real estate, We don't have to convince anybody that it's real, right? I just invite people to find out for themselves. Just get started and see if it works, right? I had a conversation with a gentleman from London this week, and he's a lawyer. And for about 25 minutes, he sat on the phone and gave me every reason this isn't real. After he gave me an opportunity to talk, because he wouldn't take a breath, I asked him, hey, let me ask you a question. What do you want from me? What do you want to gain from this conversation? And you giving me all the reasons that e-estate isn't real. What do you want to gain from this conversation? Because it sounds to me like you've already made your decision. And I'm not going to spend time on this phone call trying to change your mind. Don't get started. He was like, no, I want it to be real. I said, the only way you're going to find out if it's real is if you get started. Listen, you've given me every reason why this isn't real. So don't get started. Well, that's not what I'm saying. Well, what are you saying? You just told me for 25 minutes why you don't want to get started. What do you want me to do? Convince you to do it? I'm not going to do that. Right? And his whole perspective changed by the end of that call, simply because I wouldn't convince him. That's what people want you to do. They want you to convince me why I should get started. No, don't get started, and I'll continue to make money. Posture. And it's not mean, it's just a matter of fact. If you believe this is not real, I'm not going to change your mind. Don't get started. Because guess what doesn't change? The fact that I'm making money every single day from tokenized real estate. It's a different way to handle a call. I promise you. Don't spend time trying to convince people. Don't confirm their doubts. Guess what? You don't want to get started? I support you in that decision. Have a great day. And then it's like, huh? You're not going to convince me? No. I've given you every report. I've given you all the information. I've given you everything you possibly could need to see that this is real. And if you still believe it's not real, have a good day. End the conversation, right? Is the capitalized money going to purchase more shares? Yes, it actually compounds. That's the beautiful thing about it. It compounds. That is the beautiful thing about it, right? You're welcome. You're so welcome, Trinity. You're welcome, Catherine. Capitalization compounds your returns, but does not buy new shares. Freddie is correct about that. Capitalization compounds your returns, but it does not buy new shares. It compounds your money, right? That's the right answer. In just giving info, you will listen. You will listen. Yes, hear it. It is. If not, I'll leave you alone. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And I kept recording, so this is in the recording. So anybody watching this in the future, guess what? If you don't believe it's real, don't get started. It's okay. We are not trying to convince you to get started. But if you do want an opportunity, if you want to test and see if e-estate will do what they say they're going to do, start your account with whoever invited you here. See if it's real for yourself. That's all you got to do, right? I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Anybody got any other questions I can answer? Awesome. Awesome. Y'all, we having a good time. We having a good time. If you are going to get started with whoever invited you here, let me be the first to welcome you to the family. We're going to invite you into all of our chats, and you're going to see how real this is. We are going to have an amazing time. And guys, tokenization is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and the world is going to catch up. But the opportunity is never going to be as great as it is right now. You're getting started at the perfect time, and I can't wait to see all of your results in the chat. All right. Everybody be blessed. I'll see you same time next week, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When you get into our chats, we'll give you the schedule for the rest of the calls throughout the week. And ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Listen, I tell people all the time, I know if I can help you change your perspective, even if it's just a little bit, I can help you change your life. Everybody be blessed. Peace. You are most welcome. My pleasure.